I don't believe what I just saw.
This is one of the great moments in the history of baseball.
You believe in miracles? Yes!
Is this the dagger?
March 22nd on this day in sports. Welcome, everybody. On today's episode, someone nearly dies in Buffalo, and it's not from a fire in Tonawanda. A big day and a sad day for an overlooked NBA legend. The NHL increases its Canadian content by 50%. A 14-year-old world champion that's not in Fortnite. A March Madness record that won't soon be broken. An unprecedented return from an injury that just kept on happening. Maybe the most upset-filled March Madness ever. Plus, a goalie earns some postseason rest time. The great one geeks out on hobbies. And everyone's favorite old man yelling at clouds announcer has a birthday. Welcome, everybody, to this day in sports. Sandy's laughing. That's a good sign. Do you want to go first with this one, Sandy?
Well, you know, Mike, I want to thank our sponsor to kick it off, because I often forget, and I know we often forget, we put the sponsorship a little late in the show.
We sit in these comfy chairs and couches.
We do all this. And here we are at Cabin. And you might wonder to yourself, what is this cabin you sit in? It's Cabin Barber and Gentleman Supply. Of course, they're a wonderful sponsor of the show. Great place to cut your hair, get your beard trimmed, and also pick up amazing men's apparel. There's just amazing. Everywhere you look in this place, there's a place to cut your cigar, a place to go get some great socks, a tie.
It's a great place to be a man here.
It's a great place to be a man. It smells like a man, I suppose, you wish a man would smell like.
No, that's Frank.
Frank, our lovely producer working behind the scenes, that guy smells great too.
He smells good too.
Naturally smells great. Natural musk comes off of Frank. But if you need a musk help and assistance with the musk, come by Cabin. It's just a great place to hang out and be. There's 3 locations, including the Port Credit location, which we're in right now, and a couple others also in the GTA. Get a shave, get a cut. A ton of compliments when you roll out of here with a Cabin fresh look. You're going to smell great. You're going to look great. And you're going to say to yourself, thank you, This Day in Sports, for telling me about Cabin. And thank you, Cabin, for having This Day in Sports.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, it always strikes me, too, this place, amazing place to buy gifts for your man, too.
Exactly.
For a man in your life. Like, really rare, unique stuff.
Yes.
It's a really cool emporium. People should come down and have a look at it. It's really cool.
So for more, check out cabinforlife.ca and say, hey, Louie sent me.
Hey,
I like the way you brought that back. You know, I felt like you were losing it around Musk. You went into a flat spin and you wrestled control back and you landed that.
I really do appreciate that, Matt.
I was your goose. Wait, no.
You're my goose.
No.
You're dead.
No.
You're dead, but you're a hell of a wingman.
I've lost that love and feeling. Okay. What day is this?
It is March 22nd. Matt, would you like to dig in first?
Yeah, okay. Let's go way back. March 22nd, 1919. Newsy Lalonde became the first player to score 4 goals in a Stanley Cup Finals game, registering all 4 Canadiens' goals in a 4-2 win versus the Seattle Metropolitans in Game 2. Sandy, we had talked about you previous podcast. You asked me about Newsy and how I thought he got his nickname. Well, it turns out that he picked up his nickname working in a newspaper plant when he was growing up.
Okay.
Newsy, you know, so they're, hey, Newsy, what's the... I don't know if people did that, but they probably... I picture them asking him questions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And a fascinating character we've talked about before. If you haven't had a chance, go back into our archives. Newsy Lalonde is a ledge.
Oh, yeah. So on this day, he scored 4 goals in a Stanley Cup Finals game. No one has ever scored 5 in a Stanley Cup Final. He scored 4. Those who have scored 4 in the modern era are Maurice Richard in 57 with the Canadiens, Ted Lindsay with Detroit in 1955, and before that you had Lalonde with the Canadiens in 1919 that we're talking about. And with the Toronto St. Patrick's in 1922 was Babe Dye.
He was my favorite.
Yeah, one of the best.
Newsy Lalonde also in the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I feel like back then they played a lot of sports. Like, you know, they did a lot of things.
We've had an unusually high Newsy Lalonde content on this podcast. Nothing speaks to demographic winners like Newsy Lalonde content.
I think I might get Kip in a Lalonde jersey for his birthday.
He has one. You know, I'm not going to say
lacrosse
no.
jersey.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Mike, why don't you go?
Okay. In 1958, In the NCAA men's basketball tournament final, Kentucky defeated the University of Seattle 84-72. Despite the loss, University of Seattle forward Elgin Baylor was named most outstanding player of the tournament, which doesn't happen very often. He averaged 27 points and 18 rebounds per game for the entire tournament. And it's a weird coincidence because on the same day, March 22nd in 2022, Elgin Baylor passed away in Los Angeles of natural causes. The reason I wanted to talk about Baylor a little bit is because he's probably the least properly remembered all-time NBA great. Like, we're not talking about a guy who was an all-star a couple times. He is, because he played with Chamberlain and Russell at the same time, those two guys rightly get mentioned a lot. Elgin Baylor is a hair less of a legend than those two guys. He is an all-time great. He just was on those Lakers teams with Jerry West. They never could win the championship. They lost to Russell Celtics like 7 times. The Lakers finally won a championship in LA the year he retired. Oh. So he got a ring. Like, he retired like 9 games into the season, but he got a ring because they won that year. He was GM of the Clippers for like 20 years after that. With
22 years.
Yeah, with Donald Sterling as your boss. I think he should get a free pass to heaven just for that. Anyway, I just want to have people go and look up Elgin Baylor's statistic, because that guy was a much better player than people remember, or people don't talk about him enough, I guess, when they talk about legends of his era is what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the Clippers, he seemed to make all the right moves, and it just was absolutely cursed.
He didn't have much luck with them. No, that's true.
1972, March 22nd, 1972, the Red Sox traded reliever Sparky Lyle to the Yankees for outfielder Danny Cater. I'm going to say Cater. Is that how you say Cater? I'm going to say Cater. Somebody say Cater.
Yeah,
it was a rare trade between the two teams, with New York clearly getting the best of the deal. Lyle led the AL in saves with New York twice, and in 1977 he became the first reliever to win the AL Cy Young Award. I look it up. By the way, yes, I think he probably deserved to win that Cy Young, but that also was the year Nolan Ryan had 341 strikeouts.
Okay.
and Nolan Ryan,
so maybe he didn't.
Nolan Ryan never won a Cy Young.
Yeah.
But I love that his entrance music was Pomp and Circumstance.
Okay.
Just like the Macho Man.
Just like the Macho Man, yeah,
exactly.
That's fantastic.
You know, everyone goes crazy over like Diaz and his trumpet thing, everything with the walk-up songs and all the legendary we've talked about before. We did an entire draft with walk-up songs, but Pomp and Circumstance, amazing.
Yeah.
He's also famous for sneaking into the clubhouse during games to sit naked on teammates' birthday cakes and leaving a butt imprint on the cake, as well as ordering pizzas to the other team's bullpen. You're kind of guy, Matt.
Yeah.
Birthday cakes. I never pictured birthday cakes at the office.
Well, just a birthday cake sitting there in the clubhouse. Yeah. You know what they call the players back in the day? They used to have they still have the buffet, but the buffet used to be pretty much in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a big no-no to go there unless you had your pants on or your clothes on. So some guys would walk out of the shower and they'd walk right through the clubhouse and go right up to them and get a sandwich or something. You know what they'd yell? Dick in the spread. Oh. Hey, Dick in the spread. Oh. Dick in the spread is a foul. A Dick in the spread would get you like charged in like kangaroo court.
Kangaroo court, yeah, that's a $10 fine.
So Matt, Dick in the spread.
I defy you, Kippen. Kippen has another Newsy Lalonde story.
Yeah, I got to go back to Newsy.
How about his dick?
Dick in the spread.
Oh boy,
that was Newsy's nickname before he went to work at the newspaper. Was Dick in the spread?
Dick in the spread.
Okay, well let's cleanse the palate with 1979.
Thank you for doing that.
In 1979, the NHL Board of Governors voted to allow 4 WHA franchises to join the NHL. So allowed to join were the Winnipeg Jets, the Edmonton Oilers, New England Whalers, who were renamed the Hartford Whalers, and the Quebec Nordiques. So the vote to amalgamate with the WHA failed in 1977 and initially failed again in 1979, but fans across Canada boycotted Molson products. Molson owned the Canadians, and so their owners changed their minds. The Canucks also changed their minds.
People have the power.
Yeah, I think the Canucks arena might have carried Molson products. The merger ended 7 years of the WHA's existence, but part of the deal was that no WHA statistics could be counted as part of NHL history, nor would the new team's stats count. They would be treated as if they were basically expansion teams.
Right.
So, which kind of sucked. By the way, the two WHA teams that were still around at that time that didn't get in to the NHL were the Cincinnati Stingers and the Birmingham Bulls. I think they got a little parachute package, a little bit of money for folding their franchises. So when they joined, this wasn't a sweetheart deal for the WHA. The joining WHA teams were only allowed to protect 2 skaters and 2 goalies. The rest were made available to existing NHL teams who could also claim any player if they held that player's rights without compensation. And then, so they had this expansion draft to field these new or fill up these new teams. But then when the NHL draft came along, expansion teams usually go to the top. No, they put the WHA teams at the bottom of the NHL entry draft.
Wow.
So no sense.
Well, they were they were
them.
angry.
Yeah, they were punishing them. Yeah.
Which makes it even more amazing that the Oilers got good so quickly after that.
Very true.
Considering they got no help from, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's even more extraordinary that the Oilers drafted all those guys in the 80s. Wow.
Yeah.
If you want more of the WHA, I recommend a book called The Rebel League. The Rebel League is a fantastic book about WHA, including a game where there was a Zamboni got stuck, broken down, and they played around it because they didn't want to send the fans home and cancel the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was a great league still. That.
Oh, yeah, but it's wild. It's a wild league.
Yeah,
and one good thing about the WHA is it started bringing in more European players into the league.
Yes, the Jets are a great example of that.
But unfortunately, the Jets made the finals of 5 of 7 Avco Cups, winning 3 of the last 6 after they brought in their, European players like Hedberg and Nielsen and Schuberg. But they don't, of course, those stats aren't recognized.
Nope.
When the Jets won that final cup against the Oilers, I believe it was, but Gretzky hated the Jets because of that loss. He hated the Jets because they beat him for the Avco Cup. And so,
really?
Well, wasn't it famously when the Gretzky had the final puck from the final Jets game in Winnipeg before they went to Atlanta, and he wouldn't let them have it?
I do remember.
He bought it or he got it, and he was being spiteful about. I heard there's something about him being he hated the Jets because he lost that game. Yeah, but you know what? He also completely destroyed the Jets. So he got his revenge. In other ways.
He sure did take it out on them in the playoffs. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hated them.
Well, that was So the WHA comes over to the
No more.
Yeah, no more.
2010 in a second round matchup, Baylor University center Brittany Griner set an NCAA Women's March Madness tournament record with 14 blocked shots in a game versus Georgetown. That Baylor won 49-33. She also had 7 points and 6 rebounds. Had she not gotten into foul trouble early, she blocked only 1 shot in 7 minutes in the first half because she had fouls. It's hard to imagine how many blocks she'd have ended up with. It's truly amazing is Georgetown, because she was so dominant, Georgetown shot 12 of 70 in that game. That's how much of an effect she was having on them. She actually blocked more shots than they made in that game. It is an extraordinary record. Of course, we all know about Brittany Griner's struggles in her as a political prisoner in Russia and all that stuff, but I just want people to remember what a dominant basketball player she was too, as well as being a public figure for all very difficult, challenging reasons the last year or so. Anyway, that record probably safe to say not going to be touched anytime soon.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You want something that's not going to be touched anytime soon. In 1964.
Don't look at Matt when you say that.
Don't go back to the buffet.
Dick in the spread.
Dick in the spread.
Oh, boy. Anyway, speaking of things that won't be touched anytime soon in this record, 1964, in a 4-3 loss to Chicago, Bruins goalie Eddie Johnson stopped 36 of 40 shots and played all 60 minutes, becoming the last goalie in NHL history to play every minute of every game in the regular season.
Whoa.
He started and finished all 70 games that year. He won only 18. He lost 40, tied 12. And despite a 914 save percentage that year, Boston didn't reach playoffs that year, finishing last. It was a 6-team league.
He wasn't. I bet a certain part of him was like, I'm okay with not going to the playoffs. I'm tired.
Good God.
I just want to go home.
That is a lot of no mask wearing hockey.
That's right.
So, poor Eddie Johnson. That's never going to happen again. Ever.
No. 70 games, 60 minutes.
Yep.
Plus overtime. Ooh, wow.
I wonder if he just like a true competitor never wanted anybody doing his job.
Or they had a really bad backup.
And that, when you're in last place, how bad is your backup? You ask yourself. You ask yourself.
You do.
Yeah.
Matt.
Ask yourself this. In 1997, what happened? So it's March 22nd. In 1997, in Lausanne, Switzerland, American Tara Lipinski became the youngest woman ever to win a world figure skating championship. She completed 7 triple jumps during her short program. She was just 14 years old at the time. That's we teased that in the opening.
Yeah,
14 years old.
And we came through with it, too. We did it.
Yeah, a year later, she won the gold medal in Nagano, making her the youngest athlete to win an individual medal in Winter Games history, I believe.
Wow.
Apparently also a dynamite roller skater. And,
yeah, that's not hard to believe.
She also has 22 IMDb credits. How about that? Sometimes playing herself, sometimes not.
She's also a performer.
There you go. Her most recent is the Night Court reboot.
Oh.
Just a little interesting fact there, but I want to get back to the fact that pretty amazing that she at 14 she won
to be a world champion,
world figure skating champion. Like, what were you doing at 14? You know, like
watching Night Court.
Yeah, you probably were
the original.
So it all came back.
Yeah, it all ties in. Yeah, you didn't have 21 credits on IMDb.
God, I still don't.
No. Okay, 2013. In the biggest upset of a March Madness that was chock full of upsets, number 15 seeded Florida Gulf Coast upset number 2 Georgetown in the first round. The Eagles were making their tournament debut. It was only their second year of Division I eligibility. And 2 days later, they upset number 7 San Diego State, making them the first 15 seed ever to advance to the Sweet 16. The 2013 tournament was nuts. It was the first year that at least one school ranked each from 9th to 15th seed all won at least one game. Number 1 Gonzaga lost in the round of 32. The Final Four featured a 9 seed, which was Fred Van Vliet's Wichita State Shockers, who had already upset Gonzaga. And they made them the first 9 seed and the first Missouri Valley Conference team to reach the Final Four. There was 2 4 seeds in the Final Four, and the number 1 was Louisville, who ended up winning the whole thing. But then they had to vacate the tournament wins because of a sex scandal, which, if you want to Google that, that's a pretty fascinating and maybe not suitable for this podcast kind of thing. But Rick Pitino was fired. It was a whole ugly thing. Technically speaking, Louisville won that tournament, but they do no longer hold that title.
Well, in 1970, Boston's Bobby Orr set 2 records in a game versus the Minnesota North Stars. Talking about expansion era, and this is how Bobby Orr might beat up an expansion era team. We talked about this last episode, and let's get into it, because his second goal that night made him the first defenseman in NHL history to score 30 in a season, and his second assist of the game gave him 78 on the season, breaking his teammate Phil Esposito's NHL single-season record of 77 set 1 year earlier. Last episode, we mentioned that maybe, some of these teams like Boston beat up on some of those expansion teams like the North Stars. How about a defenseman being able to match Phil Esposito in that kind of a capacity? It's insane. If you're curious, who has the record for goals in a season? What defenseman has the record for goals in a season? Does anyone know? Paul Coffey's the answer.
He almost got 50, right?
48 goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Coffey, 48. But that's, Orr still has the points total for the season, but Coffey has 48 goals.
Can you imagine if he'd scored 50? Wow.
Incredible. Defenseman with 50 goals. Again, just
different era, but
different era for sure, but that's unbelievable.
It still is, yeah.
And they won the Cup that year, of course, the Bruins. Backup goalie, Eddie Johnson. Cheevers and Johnson, baby! And I'll tell you, Johnson didn't play 70 games, that's for sure.
No. Do we want to go to quick hits now?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Quick hits.
Yes, do it.
Quick hits.
Yes, please. Quick hits.
Scrolling. Sorry, just 1 second here. Quick hits. Does anybody have one while I've lost my?
Well, I'm gonna go back to a story after this quick hit, but I'll just drop in. Why not? Quick hit. In 1976, while preparing the field for the upcoming season, the California Angels head groundskeeper found 500 marijuana plants growing in the Anaheim Stadium outfield. The suspicion was they were planted by attendees at a recent rock concert, the concert for The Who. The Angels were 76 and 86 in the 76 season because, as you all know, pot is a gateway drug.
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Nice job, Matt.
All right, I got a quick hit for you. In 2000, the year 2000, March 22nd, Detroit's Pat Verbeek became the 28th player in history to score 500 goals in the NHL. He was a two-time All-Star in his career. He played for 5 different teams: New Jersey, Hartford, Rangers, Dallas, and Detroit, winning his only Stanley Cup with Dallas in 1999. He was the first player in NHL history to score 500 goals and have 2,000 career penalty minutes as well. He finished his career with 522 goals, 2,905 career penalty minutes, and is now the general manager of the Anaheim Ducks. And do you remember his nickname, one of his nicknames for his aggressive play?
No, I don't remember.
Apparently, he was nicknamed by some as Little Ball of Hate.
Oh, what a great name. Little Ball of Hate. Wow. Okay.
All right.
Nice.
Is it me?
Yep.
1986, Trevor Berbick won the WBC heavyweight title by defeating Pinklin Thomas. The Jamaican native lost the title in his very next fight via TKO in the second round to someone named Mike Tyson. Berbick was also the last boxer to fight Muhammad Ali. He beat him in 1981, and is the only boxer to have fought Ali, Tyson, and Larry Holmes. And Trevor Berbick met with a rather unpleasant end.
Yeah.
That we will get to in another podcast.
Okay. Well, in 1991, a very rare 1910T Honus Wagner baseball card, one of only 40 in existence, was purchased at auction at Sotheby's by Wayne Gretzky and LA Kings owner Bruce McNall. They purchased that in 1991. I can't remember what the price tag was. Recently, the Honus Wagner card did sell. Any guesses on what it sold for? The new record for this Honus Wagner card. Any guesses what that card might sell for?
$300.
I'm going to say,
close.
I will say $300,000.
$7.25 million.
So I got a second guess.
Well, you're closer than Mike. But yeah, $7.25 million is now what it's selling at. I think that was, I don't even know if that was $1 million that those guys paid for it. I can't remember.
I think it was $400,000 or something like that. Yeah,
so
it was a lot.
I was under even the 1991.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Bruce McNall, of course, went to jail for all sorts of embezzling and money problems. So, how much of that money was really legitimate, But anyway, they did. That was a big deal when McNall and Gretzky and, John Candy, those days, the Argos, all those days was the halcyon days of spending money.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't yours.
Yeah.
A quick hit here. In 1996, San Jose rookie Jan Kalun, I believe, Kalun is how I'm going to say it. He scored the tying goal in a game versus Calgary that the Sharks would win 2-1 in overtime. So that goal gave him 4 goals in his first 4 shots as an NHL player.
Wow.
Now he finished his NHL career, with a total of 8 goals in 24 games. But 4 goals in your first 4 shots in the NHL.
I know they must have been just going crazy.
He must have felt like he was in a Teen Wolf sequel for a little while. Like he said, I can't miss. I'm doing everything.
Teen Wolf.
I've been,
It's like, here, John Calhoun is going to change the face of the NHL.
Yeah, we've never seen anything like it.
Look out, Mr. Gretzky. Here comes
2000, Phoenix Suns point guard Jason Kidd broke his ankle during a game versus Sacramento, which meant he would miss the rest of the season. The next day, the Suns announced that former point guard Kevin Johnson, who had been retired for almost 2 years and was living in Phoenix at the time, would be returning to the team to take Kidd's place. He was only 33 when he came back to the NBA. He retired at 31. KJ played the last 6 regular season games and helped Phoenix reach the second round of the playoffs that year. I don't know if you remember that, but it was kind of wild. It was like he was just kind of hanging around. They're like, hey, you want to come play? It's like they're playing pickup at the Y. We lost the guy, but we're going to the playoffs and everything, and we're trying to win. So would you mind coming back? It's pretty amazing.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Completely nuts.
I'm trying to think of other examples of that in sport. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
I'll try and think of it.
Kevin Johnson went on to politics.
Mm-hmm.
JP and the mayor, all that. Hey, listen, I like to talk about some basketball too. In 2019, Houston Rockets guard James Harden scored 61 in a 111-105 comeback win versus San Antonio. Harden became the only the 4th player in NBA history to have 2 60-plus point games in a season, alongside Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Wilt Chamberlain. 60 points twice in a season.
Yeah.
Wow.
you want to get into birthdays?
Yeah, it's time to sit in a birthday cake.
Do you want to do deaths first? Because you always say that's better.
All right, let's go
Do
to
we
deaths,
have
and then
any?
Matt's going to stick his ass in a
Do we have
birthday
any-
cake.
No, we don't have any deaths.
think
No one
it's-
died.
No
on this
died
day.
this day. Matt,
so we're
go
good.
stick your ass in that
Apologies
birthday
if
cake.
somebody
Do it,
did.
Matty.
In 1989, three-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year J.J. Watt was born in Wisconsin. How do you say that? Waukesha?
Waukesha.
Waukesha, Wisconsin. Sorry to everyone there. The only other two players to win the Defensive Player of the Year 3 times were Lawrence Taylor and Aaron Donald. So, wow, J.J. Watt. He's the only defensive end to win it 3 times. That's pretty incredible. So, J.J. Watt, he was born.
Also born on this day in 1983, on March 22nd, 1983, longtime NFL linebacker Thomas Davis, who appeared in 3 straight Pro Bowls for the Panthers. He was born in Shellman, Georgia. The reason I wanted to mention Thomas Davis is because I believe he went to those 3 Pro Bowls after having torn his ACL 3 times in a 2-year span. He tore his ACL 3 times between 2009 and 2011, 1 on one knee and 2 on the other, and he returned after that, and he played like 12 years in the NFL. He played 9 after all those injuries and played in the Pro Bowl 3 times despite that. Much respect to Thomas Davis. Hard to imagine how good he could have been if none of that had happened.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. In 1972, Canadian figure skating icon Elvis Stojko, born in Richmond Hill, Ontario. Stojko has promised to be on This Day in Sports several times. We couldn't even get him on for his birthday, but we're going to get him on because we keep talking about Elvis, and eventually Elvis is going to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What better birthday could you have?
No, they come here. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know what his. I don't know. He wants to get here.
it cut. Get some socks.
Yeah.
Oh, Elvis is gonna love rolling into cabin. We're gonna get him here. We vow.
I'll go get him and drive him. That's fine.
Before Elvis turns 52,
Yeah.
he's going to be on This Day in Sports.
Friend of the show.
He will be friend of the show, Elvis Stojko. You know what? This is coming out on his birthday. He's going to put it on his Instagram.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. That's the first step. Second step, he's going to be on the show.
That's right. You got another birthday, Matt?
Sure. 1994 All-Star MLB reliever Edwin Diaz is born in Naguabo, Puerto Rico. And let's hope he has a great year. Yeah.
Well,
Why did you become Red Barber?
I gotta-
and let's hope he has a great year this year.
it's like,
sports
yar.
fans.
Kind of took it in. It's like, yar. I was a
94, that's
pirate.
not that long ago.
No,
well.
that's 1979. I'm only mentioning this. 16-year MLB veteran and 2-time World Series champion Juan Uribe was born in 1979. He won a couple of World Series, but I wanted to mention Juan Uribe because in 2016 he was playing third base and Mike Trout hit a rocket ground ball which hit him in the privates, and he was severely injured. And when asked later, he wasn't wearing a cup. And when he was asked by a reporter afterwards, why weren't you're playing third base in the major leagues, why are you not? He said, they don't have one in my size.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, when your balls just swollen up like basketballs,
Yeah.
they definitely don't have one.
Yeah,
of your size.
now they really don't.
Yeah.
Because he's still icing those things down.
It doesn't. He may not have a big wiener. He might have just have giant balls.
Now, was he putting
Either
them
way-
was he
either
bringing
way,
it to the table?
We don't want to see it at the table.
Was he at the spread with it?
Guys,
That's the thing.
guys.
It all ties together, Sandy.
If you check the birthday cake, you're
Yeah.
going to find
Yeah.
out. You're
The
going to
guys-
see what's
You'd know if Juan Uribe was there
Yes.
by what the birthday cake looked
Well, let's stick his balls in another birthday cake. 1950.
like. Elvis Stoikos.
Stoiko, you better come up on the show.
We will promise him that Juan Uribe will come.
1952, sports broadcaster Bob Costas. Bob Costas, born in Queens, New York. Bob Costas. Recently, I was working on a show and someone said, "Hey, you like baseball? You like Bob Costas?" I said, "Yeah, I do." He goes, "He's a real dick."
Oh,
And I was like, "What?" He goes, "I was doing a show with him once, and I said, Bob, you just got to stand right here." And he goes, "I've been doing this for over 30 years. I think I know where to stand. Thanks so much."
oh.
And I was like, but his voice sounded good. Voice sounded good when he said
Oh,
it. But he
wow.
told him off. And I was like, damn, I don't want to know that.
I don't want to know that either.
I don't want to know about Bob Costas.
I'm sure there are plenty of stories about Bob Costas being nice too.
I'm sure there are.
You know.
Bob Costas got to come on the show.
Yeah, friend of the
I think
show.
so.
Friend of the show. We'll get him and Juan Uribe on together.
We'll get him a birthday cake.
I think
And Sparky Lyle.
I think we've wrapped up birthdays. Hey, or do we
No.
want to? No, you got to.
No. Oh yeah, yes, of course.
I mean, 1940 Dave Keon. We should throw that out there.
Okay.
Just Hockey Hall of Famer.
Yes, yep. And to tie it into who our guest is, former Toronto Maple Leaf.
There you go.
Am I right?
Absolutely, we do. We've got a guest coming on. We also had Pat Verbeek, who was a teammate of this guy as well.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
So we are very fortunate to have with us as our judge for our draft. We'll do a proper intro when he gets into the studio after the draft. But we've got Glenn Healy coming on the show, and Glenn Healy played a bunch of different places. Right? He played a bunch of different places. Goaltender extraordinaire, great broadcaster. We love seeing Glenn Healy every time he's on the air. He does an outstanding job.
My list.
So we are going to throw it out there. We are going to draft a team of teammates of Glenn Healy's. So we're going to go through Glenn Healy's whole career, look at those rosters, and the three of us are going to draft. Each of us is going to draft a full team.
2 wingers, a center, 2 defensemen, and a goalie.
That's right. You can't pick Glenn Healy, and
you can't.
Matt,
That's right.
And we've also decided Wayne Gretzky's off the table. You played with Gretzky. Gretzky is one guy you can't draft other than Glenn Healy himself. And Glenn is going to decide which of those teams is the best. Are we ready to draft?
I think, Mike, you need your list.
Yeah, it's fine. I can do it from here. It's
okay.
No
so the criteria, they just have to have played with Healy.
Glenn Healy.
He played a couple seasons with the Kings.
Yeah.
4 seasons with the Islanders, 4 seasons with the Rangers, and then 4 seasons with Toronto.
Yep.
So for those of you following at home, that's sort of the trajectory
That's right.
of his career.
Kippen, why don't you go first?
Okay. I'm going to go first draft pick is going to be me, and I'm going to start in a position that I think, might be not as deep as some of the others. I mean, all these are deep, but I'm going to take a left winger, and you can probably guess who it is. It is Luc Robitaille.
Yeah, it's a good choice as a first pick. Okay.
Sandy, you go.
Okay, I'll take it. Thank you. I'm just going to type this in for future reference. Matt took Luc Robitaille. If I had first pick, I probably would have gone there too. It's a great choice.
They, of course, played together in Los Angeles.
Yes, of course. And because I think that's a great pick because of the drop-off afterwards. And so if I'm going to follow along that same path, I got to go with D-man Brian Leach.
There you go.
Brian Leach would be my first pick because I think there's a bit of a drop-off on D after that. So that's what I'm going with. Of course, he played with him with the Rangers. In fact, they won the Cup. So that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, not bad. I also am going to stick to that Rangers team, and I'm going to take my goalie. I'm going to take Mike Richter.
Yeah.
I know there are a couple other goalies he played with that were pretty great, but Mike Richter won a cup and played for a really long time and was really a favorite player of mine too. So Mike Richter, goalie.
All right.
Is it back to me already?
Yes.
Already. There's only 3 of us in the room.
There is.
Yeah.
I feel like, there are some incredible players out there, but again, looking at scarcity, I am going to go back to D. And Zubov. Sergei Zubov.
Yep, Sergei Zubov, good choice.
The double Zubov.
Another Hall of Famer.
The double Sergei.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's another Hall of Famer off the table. Okay. I like what you've all done here. I'm enjoying your work.
Did I say where they played together? Did I?
With Zubov?
Yeah.
Well, he's a Ranger.
Yeah.
That's fair.
There we go.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay. Well, you know what? If you're thinking about some of those goalies, I'm going to have to go with Cujo. I'm going with Curtis Joseph. That's going to be the number 2 pick for me, and that's going to be the second goalie off the table, which Matt, you can coast now until you have a goalie you want to take.
It's to me now, and I am going to take as my centerman. They didn't play together long, and I know I'm kind of, it certainly wasn't during his peak, but I am going to take, because he's also one of my favorite players, Brian Trottier.
I thought you might go
They
there.
played together on the 89-90 Islanders. It was right at the end of Trottier's time in New York. He went on to play with Pittsburgh a little bit after that. But they did play together, and Trottier is my pick as my centerman.
That's Brian Trottier's brother, right?
No, to be clear, it is not Dewey Trottier.
Dewey Trottier. I understand. Understood. All right. Well, it's Matt. Already back to me, so let's do it.
It's me, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna finish off.
Damn.
I kind of like.
I
This
thought
guy.
I'd play some head games.
I'm
and get it
gonna
back to
I'm gonna finish off my D, and I'm gonna take Steve Duchesne.
Yep, that's a great pick. Right. Well, Matt has his D done, and Mike hasn't started on his D
Yeah, I
yet.
thought D was a tricky place, but maybe Mike knows something I don't.
No, I don't. I just don't have my list.
Okay, wait. Where is your list?
It's in my knapsack. Frank, will you get my...
You can get up.
We can vamp.
No, I don't want to-
Sandy can tell a story.
It's in my
Sure.
knapsack. Frank, will you grab it? There's a piece of paper, the black knapsack there.
It's in his knapsack.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Because it's gonna get tricky.
Thank you, yes.
It is going to get tricky. You really should have your list. You don't want to be picking blind.
I did think it was a good strategy for you guys to go goalies because a goaltender is judging, so that may come into play.
I'm going to tell you something that I'm going to guess though, is that also might be a challenging one to pick because of the close tie between the goalies. Maybe there's one he likes personally more.
Yeah, his criteria is his own. Is it my pick now?
It's his own. It's his own.
It is Sandy's pick.
It is.
Okay.
We were vamping for you, Mike.
Thank you.
Yes, it is my pick. There's a couple different ways I could certainly go here, but I do think I'm going to just seal up my D and take a friend of the show, Matthew Schneider.
Yeah.
I'm putting Matthew Schneider. Of course, he played on the Leafs with Glenn, and he's a friend of the show. He's got to get off the table here, so I'm going to get Matthew Schneider.
Okay. I am also going to take a defenseman because I don't have any yet, and I am going to take, again, I'm sort of, not during his peak, but I'm going to take Kevin Lowe.
Yep.
Because they were teammates with the Rangers in the early 90s, and Kevin Lowe's a Hall of Famer, so he's on my team.
He sure is.
All right, you know what? Here might be the first controversial pick, and we'll see because they didn't play together long, but they did play together. And for right wing, I'm taking Hall of Famer Yari Curry.
Yeah, sure.
Wow. Yeah. Dang, that's right. That's not long at all. Well, I just feel like that's Harry Curry, huh? Okay, so
That's Drew Sandy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. That did throw me. Didn't expect to see that. Just going to type it in here. Okay, adding to the list that I didn't even have Curry on there. Okay.
They played together in the Rangers.
Yep. Well, if you're that's your right wing, hey.
Yeah.
So I better match it with Mike Gartner.
Yeah, he was. It was a toss up there.
I have to go with the Hall of Famers and stack them up, and that's 1,335 points there, friends.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Not too shabby. I got to tell you, that cup team that the Rangers won with against the Canucks, wow, they were stacked.
It is amazing looking at that roster, kind of thinking, I can't
cow.
believe it was as hard for them as it was.
Damn, such
know.
a good stack.
Okay, so I'm screwed on wingers now, which I guess that's what you get when you forget your list. So I'm going to take, I think he's a little bit of an underrated NHL player. I'm going to take his teammate from LA, Dave Taylor.
Yeah, that's a good shot.
He was a really good player on a bad team for a long time, but he sure put up a lot of points. I realize he's not in the league of guys like Gardner and the other guys we've picked, but he was a really good player. So I'll try to hang on to this pool by taking him.
No, I had him on my list for sure.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
Okay, what do I need? I need a center and I need a goalie. Okay, I'm going to just go. Oh, gosh, am I gonna? I guess I can't do that just in case. That might get me. I'm gonna take Mark Messier.
Yep.
Center Mark Messier.
Yep. Speaking of that team,
I mean, there's a lot of talent at center, so so I wanted you guys to make the first moves, but you're not going to pick a goalie, so
yeah,
can't be sad about getting Mark Messier.
Okay. Well, I mean, you guys have both talked about, like, I don't know, maybe this is kind of shaky. I'm going to shake it right up and take Marcel Dion.
Yeah.
Well, he was the other guy I was looking at, but I was like, I can't take Dion and Curry
they played together
just in case he does.
They played together in LA.
Yeah. And that's that's Dave Taylor, Marcel Dion. That's those great teams that. Damn. Well, I got to do it.
Did they only play together for one game?
And
no.
Healy he barely played.
He
with
was
Marcel
on
Dion. But
I'll
still grab him since that's our parameters. Let's do it.
Yeah. I need another defenseman, so I am going to take. I debated between the two Brians, but I'm going to take Brian Berard.
Yeah.
Who is, I like what ifs, and I think Brian Berard was a really good player for a long time. If he hadn't had that eye injury, I think possibly he would have had a kind of really outstanding career, but he was still a great player for a long time. So Brian Berard is my second defenseman.
Nicely done.
Okay, comes back to me. So I got to take my goalie now so I got to take Felix Potvin.
Yeah. You kind of stuck to.
I mean, with all respect to Kelly Rudy, I got to go Potvin in the career .905 goals against.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. And like he coasted quite a bit. You forget because of the mask with a pretty sweet mustache.
Yeah.
Bonus points, Matt. You love a sweet mustache.
Who don't?
Who don't?
Who does not like a mustache? Okay.
Well, where are we at?
It's you, Sandy.
Sandy.
Hard
You got
to
to take a
believe.
left winger.
I'm done. This is it. This is my last pick. I can get a grinder. I can get some surprising guy. But this is a guy you want when the chips are down. It's going to be Gary Roberts.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was second on my list after Robitaille.
Okay, I also need a winger, and I'm going to take, even though he played a lot of right wing, he also played some left, so I'm going to, because it's my last pick, I don't care. I'm going to take Pat Verbeek.
Yeah.
Yep.
He scored over 500 goals.
And we circled back to some of the inspiration there, getting Verbeek
indeed.
in there.
They were teammates again on that Rangers team in the mid-90s. I'm going to take, that's not a bad last pick.
No, you got some grit
who
with
got
those penalty mints.
Yeah,
too.
that's
got
right.
A guy who's,
Before we just get in there, let's just throw out some names we didn't get to. Matt, who was a couple of guys that you were close to and didn't take?
well, I think we have to acknowledge some centermen like Pat LaFontaine, Pierre Turgeon, Matt Sundin.
Yeah.
Bernie Nichols.
Bernie Nichols had 150 points one year.
Insane, absolutely insane. I considered a grinder like an Estetik. It's like, are you making a team that you're actually putting on the ice, or are you making a team of points, or are you making it's hard to decide?
I mean, Glenn Anderson, Hall of Famer at right wing,
Yeah.
was a possibility for sure.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. Larmer was out there.
Adam Graves.
Yeah, Adam Graves. Did Derek King get taken?
No.
Nope.
Vladimir Malakoff. Nobody took him.
And only because he drove me nuts as a Leafs fan. Thomas Cabriolet was pretty great, but man, he would not shoot the
Cabriolet.
puck.
Tom Curvers.
Brian McCabe.
These are great.
Yeah. Doug Crossman.
Let's see, because it maybe even after this filtering of a ton of other guys, I'm really curious what Glenn thinks. Let's go to Glenn and get our judgment.
Okay, so we're going to get into it. I've got a hot intro here, Glenn, so here we go. We're going to meet our judge who we created this whole draft around. Shockingly, Glenn Healy was an undrafted goalie, yet went on to play 15 years in the NHL. First with the Kings, then the Islanders, then the Rangers, where he won a Stanley Cup, and on to the Maple Leafs. That's 437 games played coast to coast before retiring and going on to work for the NHLPA, as well as becoming one of hockey's most beloved color commentators and studio analysts. And currently, he's the executive director of the Alumni Association for the NHL. Not bad for a kid from Pickering, Ontario. And all of that is great. But what also impresses this panel is that Glenn is one of only two players to grace the cover of at least 3 video game franchises, having been on EA's NHL Hockey, Jellicoe's Pro Sport Hockey, and Sega's NHL All-Star Hockey, as well as the Game Gear release of NHL All-Star Hockey. The only other player to pull off this feat is the lesser-known player named Wayne Gretzky. I highlighted this because Matt and I, of course, spent many cold winter nights in Winnipeg playing these games in the 90s. He's had a massive career. We are honored to have him on This Day in Sports. Our judge, Glenn Healy, welcome to the show.
Woo! You missed a couple things in the intro. The only reason I got on the cover of EA Sports is because Gretzky was scoring on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
It wasn't exactly, your Patrick Waugh glove save, step.
Right.
You failed to mention the Pickering, Ontario, home of, yes, Glenn Healy. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
8 nuclear reactor power plant.
Thank you. I meant to put that in there.
As you can fill in the blanks, now you know the rest.
Your superpowers come as a result of that. Yeah.
I will point out.
Used to say the great thing about living and going to Glenn's house is you could only kick the ball over the fence on 3 sides.
If that is interesting to note also in the video games, yes, you are in 3 different teams. There's ones you're the Kings, the Islanders, and the Rangers on those covers, and it does appear that you are getting at least scored on or shot at. There's a shot on your net that looks like one of them you look a little bit confused, otherwise you look pretty good.
Yeah, just like games.
So
of all my kids, I stopped every one of them, and if I didn't stop it, it was the defenseman's fault.
Of course.
Oh yeah, always.
Always blame someone else.
Yeah.
That is the key. That's the key to the show, actually. We always blame somebody else when something goes wrong.
Feel free to throw any of those guys under the bus during the draft discussion, too.
Absolutely. We want to hear that, too. So we did formulate this draft, put this draft together in honor of you, Glenn, and we each selected a lineup in the draft that reflected players you played with. And some of those players you played with very briefly. Some of them you played for quite a while. We couldn't draft you, and we couldn't draft Gretzky. That was the only parameters. We just want to know, first of all, looking at this list of 15 guys, or I guess 18 guys, actually, 6 each. We want to know just some reflections on, great choices, maybe some guys we missed. What do you think, Glenn?
Well, no, almost all of them are in the Hall of Fame. And I guess that's what happens when you play in 3-4 big markets. There's never a small market for me. LA was a big market. Yes, we were in our yellow pants and our yellow sweaters when we sucked. And then all of a sudden, this other guy came. His name was Gretzky. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
And then the Meet the Kings night consisted of Paul Anka and Neil Diamond singing with John Candy, Tom Hanks, Ronald Reagan in Beverly Hills, and me driving a black Ford Escort with no air conditioning. So clearly, you need to upgrade, Glenn. So that was the Kings. That was LA. When Gretz got there, we became massive and we're one of the best teams in the league, or the most followed. And then Islanders and Rangers. Is there a bigger place to play than the Big Apple winning a cup after 54 years of 3 generations of misery? So that was another big market. And then just continuing the legacy of losing in Toronto. I carried that legacy on and passed the flame. Passed the torch to see them light it and win a cup here and get a Stanley Cup picture in color. I couldn't do it, but yeah, big markets and all the players other than myself, and thank goodness I wasn't drafted in the NHL and couldn't be drafted in this, but they're almost all Hall of Famers. And the one that really is on that list that's missing from the Hall of Fame, I think should be on it, is Curtis Joseph. He's in the top in every category. You put Luongo in the Hall, and Cujo's a little bit around him with wins, but I think Cujo's got like 100 ties back when you could
right when that could happen.
Yeah, when you didn't have to shoot a free throw to win the game.
Yeah.
Do a trick, and then you win the game. The rabbit disappears. You win. 2 more points.
I would. Yeah, Cujo certainly has more memorable playoff moments than Luongo, I would say.
Yeah. So that they're the greatest leader in all sports, and Mark Messier. Some of the greatest pure goal scorers, Yari Curry. You've got Luc Robitaille. Just the list is endless of players. And when I look down the list, Marcel Dion, I remember my very first training camp, and we brought in some people to stretch the team, because remember, that was when we didn't work out. And we were going to stretch the team. Howie Wentworth brought in from the University of Victoria their staff to stretch us, and Marcel refused to stretch. He's like, I'm a hockey player, I don't stretch. Boy, has the game changed. So that's an impressive list. And I'd put Zuboff and Leach on the first team, and between the two of them on the power play, good luck if you take a penalty.
Yeah.
Hold on, Vancouver's on line 1. Yeah, how'd that go, Vancouver? Pretty good at the finals.
Not so well. Yeah, no.
So wonderful players, and when you look back after we're done, we look back on our careers. We never really do. We just kind of say, I used to play, but I look back now at that list and all these guys I played with, and there's a memory and a story and something great about each one of these guys that they brought to the team.
Yeah, I bet.
It's an impressive group of players.
So if you're a part of a goalie tandem, you've got a relationship with a goalie, you've got Potvin, Richter, and Joseph here. So you've talked about Curtis Joseph. How was your relationship with those other 2 goalies as well, Felix and
yeah, fantastic. Felix and I was a short period of time because we were with Toronto. It's transition. Mm-hmm. And then Cujo came on board, and Cujo and I, it was ironic. I'm a bagpiper.
Yeah.
So I would sit on the plane and I would play these electronic bagpipes that have the earphones and play away. And then right beside me was Corey Cross, a defenseman, who had this big war book from World War II, about 900 pages long. He would read about a page and fall asleep. So he's still reading that book. The war took less time. He's still And then Curtis, who was a massive horse fan and horse racing fan and owned horses, he would sit and we would talk about, if you take the semen from this horse and pass it off to that horse. And I'm thinking, who in the NHL, from a fan standpoint, thinks that one guy's playing the bagpipes, one guy's sleeping reading a war book, and the other guy's talking about semen?
Yeah.
They don't think this happens.
No, this is exactly the kind of inside dope we're looking for on this stuff.
Great. And Mike Richter and I, Ricky was, again, a wonderful partner. We're great friends to this day, as all my partners. But we never had a goalie coach, right?
Really?
And our coach, Mike Keenan. So if I have to go take some medication during this interview, you'll know why. But for the two of us, we had to work together. We had to work together on strategy. We had to work together on, analysis of teams and shooters and power plays and what other teams did. But then we were also psychologists. When we were huddled up in a ball in the fetal position, we had to go, come on, it's okay. He yelled at us, but we can get up. We can triumph another day. So, we had just, again, no goalie coach. Can you imagine? No goalie coach.
No.
That's insane. Yeah, it's crazy.
Any team in the NHL, they've got 11 coaches on the ice. And
I was going to say, there's as many coaches as players now.
4 skaters with an optional skate and 11 coaches with iPads.
Yeah.
So that's why Netflix stock's going up. They're all watching movies. At the end of the day, like those are great partners and great times. Kelly Rudy was my partner in Los Angeles as well, who's not on that list, but there would have been a good one.
Yeah.
When Wayne first got to LA, okay, he went from Grant Fuhr to me. Okay, that's a downgrade, the highest order. And so when Kelly got there, kind of as the goalie to save our franchise, and he did, because I had no playoff experience, but Kelly and I sat beside each other. And of course, all those Oilers that were on that LA team would tell stories about Grant, how he forgot his skates. And so he played the entire game in Kodiak work boots and made 79 saves and had a shutout. And then he broke his leg, but played the third period only with one leg. And then there's me and Kelly sitting there going, well, like, we've got all our skates, all our pads. And so we would make up our own stories about us, about what we did in the game. How we played blindfolded third period and made 49 saves and running joke. And even after I left LA, we would always meet at center ice and we think about these stories a week in advance and know the meeting time at 7:02 in warm up. We get to center and we couldn't even get the stories out. We were both laughing so hard, but we had our own individual Grant Fuhr stories to show how great we were, even though none of them were true. So, great goalie partners.
Comedy is all about specifics. And the fact that you said a Kodiak work boot, I think is what they're very specific to that story is very important.
We couldn't afford Doc Martens.
Right.
Or Cougars. So just, I was curious if we could just do this. So, I mean, centers, you have Messier, Trottier, and Dion. If you had to pick, would you go with?
Honestly, do you want a Lamborghini or a Ferrari?
Yeah.
You want like this? That's could you get me like a Pat Flatley in there?
He was on the list. He's on the list. We also had to,
make. I have that choice. That one's an easy one. Or like,
I think you can read between the lines, guys. What he's really saying is he's picking Trache.
Okay. Well, but for the amount of time you played, you won a cup with Messi. Let's go left wing.
There's the greatest leader in any sport, anywhere, any place. You pick the sport: football, basketball, baseball.
So that's all true, Glenn? That's not media hype. You as a teammate, you would agree with it because you hear that a lot, but you wonder if guys who played with him would actually agree, and you do. Obviously, that's awesome.
There was a guy who picked up towels in our locker room, Benny Patrizzi. He fought in World War II. He was injured in 1942. He came back to the United States and worked with the Rangers from 42 on, picking up towels. That's all he did. And he'd walk through the locker room, and he never saw a championship because for many, many years, the team never won anything. Mm-hmm. And he would just chant his regular in his Brooklyn accent, "Let's go Rangers!" And he'd keep walking through the locker room. And then when we got to Game 7 and all the pressure was on us, and they were chanting from the stock exchange floor, and everyone wanted us to win, and the pressure was enormous, he stopped in the middle of the room like he always does when we stretched, and he said, "Rangers," and we were waiting for the "Let's go Rangers" chant. And he said, "I love you, and I don't care if you win or lose tonight. I love the Rangers. Let's go Rangers." And he kept walking.
Amazing.
We love that guy. We're like, he's the only guy on the planet not putting pressure on us.
Yeah.
And when we did win the cup, he never got a ring.
Oh.
Mark Messier made sure that he got a ring. And when he didn't get the ring, he thought, I guess I didn't do a good enough job for all these years. And he thought he was getting fired. And we presented the ring. He thought that was the day where the pink slip was coming. Instead, it was a Stanley Cup ring.
Oh, wow.
A year later. That's Mark Messier. I didn't think about buying him a ring, but Mark did. And he got his ring. And that's the way it was with Mark in the locker room. Everybody mattered. Even if you were Eddie Olachek and all you did was stretch the players, or Glenn Healy and all you did was try to keep everybody back from a full-blown Mike Keenan mutiny. Like, my job, I was like a labor lawyer. I was good at it. Like, everyone had a role, but Mark recognized that. So greatest leader in all sport. And why does it always the greatest guys? It happens like a fairy tale, like you're in Disney with the princess, the Stanley Cup game-winning goal. He gets it. Or done, and out, and stick a fork in them against New Jersey in Game 6. And he says, we will win. He scores a hat trick in the third to make us go to Game 7.
Yeah.
When you have Wayne and he comes to the Kings, who scores the first goal? Wayne.
Yeah.
Game 7 against the Oilers to knock them out. Who gets the first goal? Wayne.
Yeah.
Why can't it be us? Just one time. So good group of players up front in the middle. I'm strong in the middle.
So if we do if we turn this into a bit of a rapid fire to get a couple of these guys out, if you had left wing and you did Robitaille, Verbeek, or Roberts pick there.
Beat a team up, or do you want to beat a team out?
Beat a team out.
Yeah.
I'll take Luke. And the other two guys, you want to beat anybody up? The mean ball of hate?
Yeah. You came up with that nickname, right?
No, he had it for a long time. I think he was like 2 when they came up with that nickname.
Because you are credited with that, with giving him that name.
Gary Roberts, he's the only guy I know who starts a fight in an alumni game. But no one does that. Watch this.
If you have to go right wing, you got Curry, Taylor, and Gartner.
I'm gonna go with Mike Gartner.
Nice. Yeah.
Because I don't have Wayne Gretzky to have 3-inch tap-in putts for Yari Curry. Even though Yari has the toughest job on any line. So here's his role. When we dump the puck in, you be the first one to go get it. Okay, easy, got it. Right? The old F1, F2, F3 bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, when we turn it over, you got to be the first guy back. And the first guy in and the first guy back. Like he played every position, every role.
Wow. Dynamic
in every way. And one of the calmest, coolest guys that you could ever met.
Yeah.
There was like 98.6. There's his threshold. So,
yeah.
But I'm going to take Gartz. He's a pure scorer. And I want to win a championship with me because the team will win. You know that.
Yeah.
Mark's already said we will win. He just called me. We will win.
This is now, of course, there's 6 goalies to choose from, defensemen to choose from here. You had Zubov, Duchesne, Lowe, Berard, Leach, Schneider. If you had to put a tandem together out of those 6, what would you pick?
Not Schneider. No, he would.
He's also been on our show. We had him on for you. He speaks very highly of you, though.
I only put him on the list so I could bench him. I just want to see his response. Those guys, you're going to get a good response. I know I'm going to get a good response. I'm going to take my Stanley Cup champion duo.
Sure.
1994. You take a penalty. Ooh, that's a walk of shame. That is a long walk back to the bench when we scored.
Yeah.
Ask Vancouver. They're on line 1. They're going to tell you. I'm going to take Zubov, who's a right shot, and Brian Leach, who's a left shot. And Brian Leach, who I played with, who would play 35, 40 minutes a game. I never saw him tired, ever.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I would go on, skate around the ice once, and have to come back to the bench for oxygen and smelling salts. And this guy would play 40 minutes, and it was just, like la-di-da. This is so easy, this game. So I'll take those 2.
That's a good choice. And then we talked about goalies a little bit. I feel like you might be going here, but you got Potvin, Richter, and Joseph.
Well, I'm going back to the well. Like, there's only one cup that I won, and I'm going to take Richter. I'm going to take my goalie tandem, my partner, and I know that when you guys have already loaded up your team, so you gave me just a bunch of what's left of the Hall of Famers to pick. But anyways, I know he'll be my psychologist to help me through it. Now, the one thing missing on all of these teams, like you guys have missed the boat on, I don't want to be critical of your.
No, that's part of the point. Yeah.
Your podcast, sportscast, where's the coach? Like, this is the important.
Interesting.
Didn't have a coach. And you want to see fucking 23 people up quickly. You put the wrong guy behind the bench. So I'm going to pick my coach. It's Mike. No, it's no.
It's Barry Melrose.
Al Arbor would be my coach.
Yeah.
Nice choice.
And he was like a father figure to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we loved him to death. And he was the instrument behind our demise of the Pittsburgh Penguins when they were a dynasty. And I was with the Islanders in 92, 93.
Yeah.
Al was the man who, he didn't get Scotty Bowman's Detroit with the Russian Five. He didn't get the Montreal Canadiens, where even the trainers went in the Hall of Fame as everyone else. He didn't get that. He didn't get the Pittsburgh Penguins with Francis, Dogger, Lemieux. I could keep going on, but I won't, because they're all in the Hall of Fame too.
Yeah.
He got an Islander team. He took them quickly to the finals, created a dynasty, had to do a rebuild, and then took a bunch of guys by the name of Ferraro, Flatley, and Healy, and we ended up beating one of the best teams that was ever assembled in hockey in Pittsburgh. So Al is my go-to guy.
Yeah.
Great choice. Mike is an Islanders fan. I just want to point out very clearly an Islanders fan.
Yeah.
I saw the Sally. I knew it right away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he might be the team with Trottier on it.
Yeah.
So
in case you wondered.
So Glenn, it's pretty good because you've actually picked guys from each team. Mike slightly cheated because he had Verbeek and Taylor in the same position, which we'll dock a few points from him.
Yeah.
But overall, if you look at these team 1, team 2, team 3, if you had to pick a team, which team do you think you would go with here?
Wow. Let me just look at my notes here one more time. If you would stand by just for
no problem, and you can even just.
It sounds like Messier's leadership was might be the.
Hey Mike, you know you're not getting picked. Don't start swaying.
I know.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Mike. I'm gonna go with team 2.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. And
why?
Well, I'm looking at where our power play gets set up and which side it gets set up. So I need a right-hand shot in the slot. I don't need a left-hand shot like Robitaille, because I need someone to set up on the other side then for his one-timer. I need someone in front of the net. I've got that and Dave Taylor. Kevin Lowe is one of the meanest guys on the ice you could ever get. Brian Berard would be my poor man's Brian Leach. And then I've got my goalie. Mm-hmm. And then I've got a guy who, I don't know, do we stop at 6? And he kept going for cups and Trottier. Yeah. He's the only guy I know who would, at the end of practice, go, let's do a little skating.
Yeah.
And he would bury you.
Oh my God.
He would not stop until you collapsed. And,
wow.
He has no quit in him whatsoever. And so, clearly I'm and Mess is a lot older too right now, right? Like you can't have 60-year-olds on your team. Yeah.
That's right.
So Glenn, of course his team has been eliminated because he did pick Verbeek and Taylor on the same side. So if you had to pick another team,
Glenn and I are clearly thinking about the power play and thinking the same way.
Almost as important, Glenn, as the first place is last place. Which team was the worst team of the 3?
Is there anyone you didn't think should make it?
Well, how? They're all in the Hall of Fame. How do you?
Yeah, I know.
You go, oh yeah. Why would I ever pick Mark Messier or?
Well, who picked Schneider? Did anybody?
I did.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm out. I wrote this personal
opinion.
opinion.
The friend card. That's what you did.
Yeah.
Go to every PA event. I see you at every All-Star game. You're in the PA lounge. A rookie showcase. There he is again. I thought you actually worked for the PA until I got there and realized you don't.
I'm going to tell you. Here's the thing:
that's a free sweatshirt which says PA. I didn't get that when I worked there, so you get it.
That's totally fair. There's definitely an issue with Schneider, but I am shocked because Roberts, Gartner, Leach, all on that team. But as you said, it's hard to eliminate any of these teams.
No.
This would be a great round robin to see these three actually play. These three.
I
teams play in the
went
prime.
defense first. I drafted both my defensemen first, thinking if I locked down defense, I had a good shot, getting both Zubov and Duchesne, but I didn't get Leach, so that probably hurt me. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, if we put these three teams together and we go to Toronto next year to the All-Star game, and these are the three teams that play in front of the fans, tell the current guys to stay home.
Yeah.
Because these would be better than what we saw in Florida.
Oof.
That was cute. That was really
Yeah. That was.
This would be a little bit more of a display. And we would see a couple things. Gary Roberts will fight somebody. He'll find a 6-year-old that he would fight. You'd have to have your birth certificate on the corner of your sweater just so you go, no, you were born in 1964. You're too young. I have to wait. I'm going for the 50s. Find me a guy.
Him and Verbeek could get at it for a while.
Yeah, Patty is, how many guys, grew up working in a pig farm, an actual pig farm? And anyone who's been in a pen with pigs, they are nasty. Like they come up, bite you, they attack you. Now you get the rest of the story. And Pat tells some great stories. His Mike Keenan is Pierre Maguire. And his are way better than my stories. So I think Patty would be one of those guys. And, the one thing about Patty, we would finish practice every day and he would line up his pucks and he would ask me, how many you think you're going to stop? Okay, don't tell Patty, but he would shoot in the same place every time. So I don't think I ever figured it out. Like I knew where he was going to shoot. So it would be, I'll stop all 10 because you're going to shoot in the same spot. And if it's low stick, I'm just going to go stand over here. Might get one, but it's not where you want to go. You want to go 5-hole and low stick. So I had him figured out early on.
Pure stubbornness. That sounds like right there. That's good.
Tremendous player.
He got over 500 goals. It worked somehow.
A competitor, and he just honestly, you bring him in any locker room, his leadership, his compete skills. There are people that bring people into a fight. He brings you into that fight. Will not leave that fight until he either wins or it's over. But he's not the first one on the lifeboat. I can tell you that.
Love it.
And you've mentioned Kelly Rudy. Is there anybody else you think that maybe we didn't have on these teams that you're like, I can't believe you didn't pick that person, or is someone clearly missing? Anybody at all?
Well, Jeff Bukow was going to kill me, but he was the perfect partner for Brian Leach.
Yeah.
He would just stand in front of that and just, chopping arms off and legs off and heads off. And Leach would just go get the puck and up they would go. So sometimes when you put together the lists of all the skilled guys, you need a little bit of potato with the meat. And
that's a great analogy. I've never heard that before.
He added that with our team. And, when people look at that 94 Ranger team, you think, well, who was Brian Leach's partner? Well, that Bukow, and we played 4 defense that year. 4. We didn't play 6. And if Mike Keenan could have had it his way, we would have played 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Play the whole game. Although I did coach a celebrity. It was an NHL game, but I was working with Hockey Night Canada, and they let me coach with Detroit. And so Mike Babcock was the coach, and he told the team, Glenn's going to coach the defense. Anything you want to say to the team? And I was like, Mike, yes. Thank you for having me to the team. And Nick Lidstrom, tonight you're playing the whole game. You were not coming up.
Good strategy.
I wasn't a fan of that. He said, no, you got to change them up a little bit. But I was going to try and experiment. It was a great experiment. Let him play the whole game.
That's coaching genius right there.
Amazing. I'm coach of the year. I should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
No one listened back then. They still aren't listening now. But no, you've got a good.
We are, Glenn.
There's a good list of good players that, again, these are the guys that paved the roads for the current players to drive on.
Yeah.
And the legacy they've created, the memories, they're heroes to some generation at some point. If you're 60 years old, it may be Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky are your go-to guys. If you're a little bit younger, it could be a Brian Trottier. And the next wave, if you're 13 years old, I know it's Austin Matthews. All right, but we're going to get him in the alumni too soon. So hopefully not too soon, but he's coming at some point. all these players will be retired. But the legacy that the guys created for these young guys today to play, the history, honoring the past, it's 3 darn good lists you've created.
Nice. Well, 17 great guys and Matthew Schneider. So that's great.
Hey, got the t-shirt, man. Got the t-shirt.
Glenn, thank you so much for joining us. This is so awesome. We hope you come back anytime, of course, but we'll get you back here and maybe we'll just talk about coaches.
That would be good. That could be a long conversation.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah. Could we do it on, I get my therapist Thursday afternoon. So if we could do Thursday mornings, I could get rid of the anxiety and chill later on in the day and look forward to a good weekend. It could work out just fine. But keep up the good work.
We'll get all that out, and then we'll get your therapist to take care of it. We understand. Yeah. Thanks, Glenn.
Therapy.
Thanks, Glenn, very much.
Cheers.
Take care.
All right, that was fantastic. You know how sometimes we're on the show and we're thinking we're kind of announcers and we kind of know what we're doing. That guy knows what he's doing.
He's a pro.
That is an absolute pro. Glenn, thank you so much for doing the show, and thank you all for listening. This has been another edition of This Day in Sports. We've had a ton of fun. We're going to do it again soon, so we want to make sure you come back. I'm Sandy Jobin Bevins.
I'm Matt Kippen.
Mike Shera.
And this was March 22nd. Second.
Wow.
That's right. My own effect.
Yeah. That was all him.
And unnecessary.